All right, so these first few songs are kind of, this is how we sort of make a picture of you in our minds, you know? So when we ask what's a song that reminds you of childhood, I try to picture what a person's childhood was like. You know, I picture like little children on the playground or like little schoolyard interactions. And so when I imagine yours, it's set to Drowning Pool. And so I'd be curious how it is that this song by Drowning Pool reminds you of your childhood.
Yeah, I'm the youngest of three brothers, or there's two older ones, and the oldest one is 8 years older than me. So he was listening to a lot of his stuff that he was into during the early 2000s when I was still pretty young. And that was back before I was interested in my own music. I was just kind of listening to whatever's on the radio when we're in the car. And we had a pool growing up in our backyard, and we had like a little jukebox my mom had, and we would put on CDs. And when I say we, it was them, because they had the ability to like burn CDs or that kind of stuff. So I remember them playing this a lot when we were super young, swimming in the pool. And I just have very vivid memories of being with my cousins when they would come over. And specifically this song, there's like a section, maybe 30, a little section like 30 seconds into the song where the music sort of cuts out and the guy screams like break, and we would always jump into the pool right on that like cue. And I just remember feeling like, oh man, like music is almost like a soundtrack to your life. Like you can do like movie-esque things, and we would record ourselves with my mom's camcorder like jumping into the pool during that like drop in the song. And I don't know, it just made a super fun summer. I just have a vivid memory of that.
That is
specifically
fun. Yeah, it turned out to be a very wholesome thing that's set to Drowning Pool. How much older are your brothers?
One of them's 4, the other one's 8 from me.
8 years older. Wow, that's a big gap. Yeah. Every 4 years, boy.
Yeah.
Shout out to your parents. Yeah. Okay. So interesting. What's the relationship now? Do you feel like is the 8-year gap? Does that kind of gap between brothers sort of close or expand as you get older?
Yeah, that's interesting. I've noticed in the last 2 years maybe that it feels like it's closing. I always thought they were like way ahead of me, miles ahead, just super knowledgeable. And more now when we speak, it sounds like, I don't know, they like ask me questions that you would just ask maybe your friends, or I ask them questions and they don't immediately have an answer. And I'm like, oh dang, you're just as confused as me, or you're just as stressed out, or whatever. Like, you're just a person. So it definitely seems less of a gap.
It's interesting how it levels out, like, over time. Yeah, and it's sort of funny because things that used to seem to be important, like the order, like birth order and stuff, kind of goes away, and like people that meet you and your siblings, like as adults, they have no idea. Like, someone could meet my brother and sister and I, and they would not know that like my sister was the oldest and my brother was the youngest. But that was such a thing for so long. It was so evident that it's kind of funny to adjust to the fact that it's not anymore. Okay, cool. Let's talk about my guy, Zach Condon, because your song, for a song you consider to be an all-time favorite, is Elephant Gun by Beirut. Tell me about it.
Yeah, man. I remember my brother, the middle one, showed me this song maybe when I was, I don't even know, 17 or 18 or something like that. He was playing it, and I was just so captivated by the use of instruments, because in my mind, a rock band was made out of, guitar, bass, drums, vocalist.
Yeah.
And just hearing like the ukulele, hearing an accordion, hearing brass, which I was in band, like heavily into band at the time. Just hearing that trumpet immediately like captured my attention, and I was like, oh man, you can make like, I don't know, not symphonic orchestra music and not necessarily just rock, but some blend in between the middle. And I was just captivated by the different sounds, the audio, just the way it blended together was crazy. Crazy hearing that for the first time.
I know exactly what you mean, because I had the same thing where like a band is like a 3-piece band, you know, it's a power trio. That's a band. That's a regular band. And then it was like, oh yeah, you could have a horn section if it's a ska band, right? But so when I started to hear the way that like other instruments, piano and trumpet and things like and saxophone could be like integrated into rock music, when I started to kind of be able to wrap my arms around that, that was really like interesting and compelling to me. And it felt so unique for so long, which is funny because like in most cases it's not. In the case of Beirut, it is, right? Like there's something that's kind of funny where I saw Beirut live a couple of years ago, and I remember thinking like, oh wow, all these songs are roughly the same tempo. Like they don't really have like slow or fast songs. They just kind of have like these mid-tempo songs.
Right.
And in part it's because of the kind of that the compositions and the way that the different instruments interact with each other. And there's almost like it almost doesn't work at any other speed.
It really is like it almost feels like they always start off with just the voice and the one instrument accompanying each other, and then these other layers like start to come in.
Yeah, like the drums always come in late, but at like a satisfying point.
Yeah, and I feel like you can't necessarily do like a super fast tempo thing like that. Like just the guitar playing crazy fast and the voice singing crazy fast. It almost feels like it has to be that mid-tempo for it to build in that way, I guess. And
his voice would almost be, if they did a lot of like ballady stuff, his voice would almost be too much. Like it would be like too rich a meal. You know, you'd be like, yeah, you know, I don't really.
Yeah,
so it's just like,
I hear you.
They found the right speed, you know, and I do kind of love that. So the first Beirut album I ever heard was the Flying Club Cup. So it was actually after. I didn't hear Elephant Gun until like later. And it was kind of fun to hear their earlier sound, which is not that different, you know. For some reason, they still feel like an underheard band. So if you tell somebody about that, like 50-50 chance you'll create a new Beirut fan that day.
Right.
Yeah, and maybe they're not. They don't feel like a band that's a lot of people's like absolute favorite band, because a lot of their music is kind of at a kind of intellectual remove, which makes it harder for it to be like, I really feel these feelings, because you're like, I don't really know what the feelings are. You know, like I don't really know what any of those songs are about. Like,
right.
Going to Europe, basically, is what they're about. But okay, so now for your song that you've been listening to a lot right now, you know, there's I've heard a lot about this young group, this Hollow Fawn band. You know, there's a lot of blog buzz about these boys. And you know, talk to us about it. Who is this band? And this song,
man, I hate doing this because I don't know, I'm a critic to myself really hard. But it is me and my friend that do this little project called Hollow Fawn, and we record everything out of our bedrooms. We just sit here, and it's just us two, and we record all the separate tracks, you know, piece by piece, working out, you know, how it's gonna go. We re-record, change structures, re-record, and it's weird because we never write the way a normal band would when you're in the living room or in the garage jamming out the stuff with the group. Like, we don't even know what we sound like live because there's only two of us, and I'm mainly a drummer and he's mainly a guitarist. And I don't know, we just haven't had enough time, I guess, with each other sitting there to really hash things out that normal way. He usually goes home, writes a few chords, comes back, and he's like, hey, check out these chords. And I'm like, oh, we could do this bass line to that. And then we start laying it down on, you know, a recording project. So it's a bit of a weird recording style from other bands that I've been in because of that fact that we don't have enough people to actually play what's being recorded.
Yeah. And so the writing process is in part the recording process, and negotiation between the two of you happens in part mediated by like actual recordings, which, I mean, that can be kind of cool though. Like that can be fun. That's how Morgan and I record music too. It's a little different because like he just writes the song, but then what I kind of help him build around it is just kind of whatever I hear. It's like you just listen to some chords over and over again, like this, what you're describing with the bass line. Like you hear the chords, and if you listen to it enough times, you just start to hear other pieces. Like your brain starts to put in other stuff, and then you have to just be able to actually go actualize that on like a keyboard or something, which like over time you get better at. So what's the trickiest part then in that process? Like, is it like just tracking the drums, or what's the, where do you get hung up the most?
Oh man, well, we probably get hung up the most on lyrics, I think. Lyrics and getting the right vocal take, because I don't think he considers himself like a singer at heart. I think mainly he's a guitarist, but he does sing at times. Same thing with me. I don't consider myself a singer, but I have some tracks or some backup vocals on that stuff. So we're really critical. We'll like lay down something and we're just like, oh, that does not sound good. I don't know why it doesn't sound good, because I'm not a singer and I don't know really what to tell you, but it's not good. Let's do it again. So we just keep doing it over and over and over again until we get something that feels at least energetic, and hopefully slightly in tune. And then we go from there. But that's probably the hardest stuff, just because neither of us are singers.
Mm-hmm. Well, that totally makes sense to me, because that's, when it comes to like upbeat music, right? A lot of the act of the way that singing sounds to us, the way that it has kind of emerged as the genre, is because you're like playing a guitar really fast at the same time. You know what I mean? And so when you're recording each track separately, you're not doing that. So there's this way in which sometimes it just doesn't meet your expectations for what it's supposed to sound like. But I can tell you that I've listened to your music. I think it's really great, and it does not sound like that to me. I would not have guessed that it was just two people kind of like building the track as it goes.
I look back down the hall and I saw it standing there. It was gone, almost gone. It was just out of reach. I reached so nervously. I was pulled from underneath and fell back in relief. I never felt so far, never felt so far.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's like, it's funny because there's been this kind of, I don't even know what to call it. Like if it's like punk rock or screamo, or I don't even know what any of this stuff is anymore. But there's been kind of like a revival.
Yeah.
In recent years, and it's cool. What I like about it is that it sounds new and modern, but it also sounds like still influenced by the bands that I grew up really liking, but like it's leaves enough of it behind and takes enough of the newer music into it to kind of like, I don't know, it feels right. Like it doesn't feel like too throwbacky. There's definitely some like punk bands out there that sound too much like they were recording in 2002. Like that already happened. We don't need any more 2002 music.
Yeah, man. This is cool. Me and Matt, or that's my friend Matt, we're super into like the early like pop punk stuff, like in 2000s, like New Found Glory or Taking Back Sunday, or that kind of stuff. So we listened to that when we were younger, but we didn't meet until way later, and by that time we had already kind of grown different tastes. I was way more into like indie music, and then he kind of got more into like the hardcore scene of stuff, and that's still where he lies. He's still more of a hardcore head, and I'm still more of an indie head. But we have this like common past from before we even met, where we used to listen to these bands. So that's where that kind of comes from.
Yeah, I think you can hear all of it in the music too. So you can hear all three of those poles that you guys are.
Right. Yeah. Like for me, I'm like there's like trumpet in this song, and I'm like, I don't know, pulling from just me being in band. Me listening to stuff like Beirut that has brass in it. I'm just like, yeah, well, let's throw some trumpet into this, whatever it is, emo pop punk stuff. Not that we're the first bands to ever do that, but I mean, that's just, my influence coming in there.
I remember trying to get a trumpet player into our band in high school, into our like rock band. We literally had like auditions. We had like a few different kids come by with trumpets, and I don't remember what happened. I think honestly we only had like one gig, and like the kid that we wanted to be in it just like couldn't come that day or something. But that was really my aspiration, is getting a trumpet in there, because it's a good sound. All right, so for a song that lifts your mood, you in fact have a song here that has appeared in a previous episode as a song that someone associates with a bad memory.
Totally.
Yeah, Redemption for Beyonce today. Okay, note to self: record this part better later so that it sounds better. But the song, it's "Love on Top" by Beyonce. But because I have good legal instincts, I'm not going to play a clip.
I listened to that episode with that guy. Oh, and let me just say, that guy, I listen to his music, super awesome, and I love the energy that he has with his music in terms of how he speaks about it. I was like nervous about my podcast episode because I was like, damn, I'm not going to be as like energetic about how good my music is as that guy.
He was like at 100 miles an hour from like the second we started talking. Like that clip where he tells me that his friend's dad just died is the first thing he said to me. We had never spoken to each other ever before. I was like, intense. I gotta put my seatbelt on for this interview.
But yeah, to go back to the song, man. I am not a Beyonce listener whatsoever. I only know like 4 songs max. Is not my genre whatsoever. But when I was thinking about a song that lifts my mood, it definitely, I feel like I had to step out of my normal genre, because most of the stuff I listen to I feel like is sad, or if maybe angry music or something like that. But as far as like a positive mood, I was like, oh, I gotta listen to something more like poppy. And I was like going through stuff that I do like that is pop, and I landed on this song, and I was like, yeah, I mean, I know this song, and I love this song, and it has a lot of characteristics that I enjoy about it, even though it's not my normal go-to stuff. What I think it is about this song is it's a sort of like a, I don't know, mid-tempo song that involves a lot of syncopation that makes it feel like it's faster than it is, just because of the rhythmic use of the voice and all the little instruments that are coming in and out. And on top of that, the key changes at the end literally are going up a semitone every like 30 seconds. So yeah, I don't know. Whenever I listen to this song, it makes me feel like shimmying in my chair when I'm in the car. I'm like, oh, this is a good feel. It's just got a totally good vibe to it. There's no way I can be sad and not want to like dance while listening to this. That's
my shimmying in my chair space too. You're talking about like the songs that are not necessarily super fast, but that have like a lot of syncopation, a lot of rhythms within rhythms. That's the kind of music that's always sort of most exciting to me. So yeah, cool. #Redemption for Beyonce. Now, when we talked about for number 5 here, what makes you sad or sustains a sad feeling, you have two energy levels here.
Oh yeah.
So we've got Bon Iver, totally understandable, and then there's this band Dads, who I'd never heard before, but I really liked.
Yeah.
So let's talk about energy levels associated with sad moods, and talk me through these songs.
That album, I picked the Flume by Bon Iver, which is off of the first album that he has. this one, I mean, that whole album is just totally like a low energy, super sad, very like esoteric sounds, kind of dark, and I associate it with me driving at night alone in the cold, and just letting my emotions kind of come out.
Sure.
Maybe if there were tears, it would be kind of to this energy level. And then there's other times where I'm like sad, but there's like a tinge of like anger with the sadness, and I just like want to scream my heart out.
Sure.
And when it's that kind of sadness, then I'm gonna go towards more of that dad's shit twin sound, because there's a lot of yelling in this song and a lot of singable parts. Me and my friend Matt usually do this one as a duo for karaoke whenever
Nice.
we're doing that.
It's funny, actually. Somebody suggested that one of the songs, one of the questions for this list should be like, "What's a go-to karaoke song?" Which I do like as a question, but I like personally. I don't think I've ever done karaoke, or like not since I was like a kid. So it's
Yeah.
just not something that I really like think about.
Yeah.
But it's interesting when it comes up. So yeah, but interesting, cool. Yeah, I'd never heard of the band Dads before, but I'm definitely gonna go back. I like.
Yeah, and you
I
know
like
what?
finding new
That is also a band made out of two people, and it's just a guitarist and a drummer. And I believe when they play live, they just do that. They just do the guitar and the drums. There's no bassist or anything, but they both sing.
Yeah, I respect for bands that do that. It's like, oh my god, now I'm not going to remember their name. But Two Gallants. That's they were like an old Saddle Creek band. That it's just a guitar and a drummer, and it's like because the guy like really mostly only ever like picks the guitar, so you can put like a lot of low end on the guitar sound, so you don't really notice the absence of other instruments. But it's funny because like if you wanted to have a song where you're just like strumming the guitar, it really limits what you can do with it, because you usually do, if you're just a drummer and a guitarist, you have to almost put too much sound on the guitar for it to have a lot of definition, which that kind of bothers me sometimes. Like it sounds very muddled to me. Sometimes if I'm like playing music with someone and they like turn their amplifier on, I'm like, there's too much shit on that. You know what I mean? Like just like like take a little bit out of it. You know, like it's just I can't hear it. Like I can't hear it. It just kind of sounds like a dull roar.
No, I get what you're saying. You're overworking the electronics. Just make it do one thing.
Yeah, but at the same time, like I know I have a bias toward kind of like primary color sounds. So like I try to hear it. I try to learn. Like I try to hear it the way they probably hear it. Because anytime I ever play music, like if I'm playing just with my brother or like with my uncles or like friends and stuff, I'm almost always playing with people who know more about music than me. So like I do think that there are times that I, as a person who knows less about the technical stuff, I might have a better sense of like it should just sound like this right now. Like if you're playing in a club or something, I understand why your guitar needs to sound like this. But we're just like in my living room, so I think I can like maybe I'm right, you know. But anyway, I don't know. I never argue about that stuff anymore. It all just happens in my head.
Your ears are less clouded with less knowledge, so you can just be like, oh, it needs to sound like this, as opposed to being like, I don't know, doing too much math.
All right, so now for music that makes you feel productive. This is Steve Reich? Is that Reich?
I think it's Reich.
Steve Reich? Okay.
But I might be wrong.
Now, I like when this happens. This piece of music you've selected is 59 minutes long. So it makes for a fun.
Did you actually listen to the whole thing?
No, I have not yet.
Okay, did you listen to any part of it?
Yeah, I listened to, like, chunks of it.
Okay,
so
you probably heard that it sounds exactly the same almost the entire way through.
A few times I actually thought, when I had skipped ahead, that my phone hadn't caught up yet. Because, like, I skipped ahead on, like, a perfect bar, you know?
Yeah.
So but anyway. So this is called Music for 18 Musicians, which, by the way, I love that. That's a title flex. When the title of the song is instructions, basically. You're like, all right, I kind of get a sense of who this guy is, that he named his song that. But I would love to hear how this kind of music makes you feel productive, because when I hear music like this, I almost feel hypnotized by it. Like, I feel like I can't think about anything but what I'm hearing.
Oh, wow. I sort of feel it's interesting that you say the word hypnotized, because I was going to use the word trance. Mm-hmm. I feel like when I'm listening to it, I'm in a trance, and it's like very difficult to tell time. And I usually listen to this sort of stuff when I'm heavily doing like a lot of writing or reading, because otherwise, if I'm, doing nothing, I'm like, oh man, how long have I been reading? 10 minutes? Or been like writing for like 20 minutes? I should take a break or something. But when I'm listening to this, it's hard to tell. Sometimes I don't know if I've been in it for 10 minutes or if I'm at the last like 55 minutes or 55 minutes into it. Just because it's so repetitive and so similar that I feel lost in time. And it makes me go through my stuff pretty quickly and effectively, I think, when I'm doing writing and reading or, researching, that kind of stuff.
I find that fascinating, because if I were trying to read a book while listening to this, I think I would probably be like reading the same paragraph over and over and over and over and over again. Because of that, it's like I can't... it's weird, but like music that's more narrative or that has more changes in it and that kind of thing, I can almost stay more productive listening to. It helps if it's songs I really know if they have words, because then I can kind of tune out the words part. But I was gonna say I don't think I could read a book while listening to music, but actually I do that all the time, so never mind. But yeah, it's yes, it's fascinating how different people hear music and how they can and can't function listening to music. Obviously, people on this podcast have been like, "Oh, if I actually have to be productive, I can't listen to anything."
Yeah.
Which is also fascinating to me, because if I'm not listening to anything, I'm getting distracted by my own thoughts relentlessly. So, like, I need something to take me a little bit, but not all the way out of it. And you're actually almost maybe further down the spectrum, where you're kind of like in a trance, but you're able to kind of work parallel to that trance. But this Steve Reich thing was fun. I definitely did write down in my notes like music for 18 musicians, 14 of who are playing a xylophone.
Right. That's what it is, man.
Yeah, maybe the same xylophone. Maybe it's just like 14 guys all around one xylophone. So, let's talk about a song that makes you feel creative. And your choice was Empty Space by The Story So Far. Talk to me about how that makes you feel creative.
Yeah. I guess for this one, when I thought about getting inspired or becoming creative in terms of recording music, I was always trying to listen to stuff that was, pop punk or like hardcore adjacent music to get inspiration for how the music should sound with Holophon. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the songs that me and Matt were super into listening to while writing the stuff and starting to record it. Just because I, for me at least, I think it sounds really good, like in terms of audio recording quality. Mm-hmm. So it was sort of, to me, what's the word? The goal to aim for. Mm-hmm. When I was recording the drums and I listened back, I'm like, oh, the drums don't sound exactly like they should because they don't sound like Empty Space. So let me move the microphones here and move my microphones here. Same thing with everything, the guitars. I'm like, how can we make it sound more like that and less like it's in my bedroom? I guess so. So a lot of that came from that song, I think, in terms of recording quality. And then also in terms of composition, I wouldn't say I took too much from it specifically, but I was always impressed with how the guitars come in and out and how the vocals interact with the guitars in that song. Just because, again, it sort of seems kind of simple, They're like, cut everything for 2 bars, just let the guitar and vocals go. All right, everything comes back in. And it just sort of opened up my mind to be like, oh, you can have really powerful moments by just subtracting some instruments and then plugging them back in.
All I can show is absence from your life that I can't control. It's all that I get like it rains outside. I know that it seems like I'm always upset. No, it seems like I'm always upset.
That kind of stuff, yeah. I was just taking a lot of compositional ideas and recording quality ideas from that song.
Do you have any like particular hacks or tips to share in terms of like whatever, put the mic between the 2 toms instead of trying to mic each one separately, or like 6 inches from the snare? I don't know.
No, I think one of the things that was most effective is that I just got more microphones. At the beginning, we were recording with 4 microphones, just 1 in the kick, and then 2 floating, 1 under the snare, which did fine for a while, and we recorded 1 EP like that. But that sort of gave it a more roomy tone, like it was just in a drum set in a room. And then I ended up borrowing a bigger interface from another friend, and I got 8 microphones on the drum kit. So then I was able to get a clearer tone on just the tom whenever I was using the tom. And I could EQ the tom differently than the snare, because everything's all separated now in 8 channels. So that just created higher fidelity, in my opinion, which is sort of what I was hearing in that song. It just sounded like higher fidelity drums, like everything was super crisp and clean. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was probably the biggest thing, is getting more mics.
Have you ever listened to Song Exploder, the podcast?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, I tell people all the time about the Commander Thinks Aloud episode of that.
I've listened to that one.
Yeah, the story about the drums like totally blows my mind. It's so different though, right? Because like
that's amazing.
You're going for like a particular sound, like this platonic ideal of like what screamo, hardcore drums sound like, and that can be very hard. And I also have found, like, as a drummer, understanding that even just at like a tuning and setting up your drums level, that it doesn't sound the same to you as it sounds outside, like on the other side of the drum set. Like literally just standing on one side of the drum set versus the other, it sounds different. And you have to kind of learn to adjust for that or trust it, basically. But I've never been like that kind of technician. My uncle is like a very, very technical drummer. And Morgan and I were just at his house recently playing music, and we were doing Burning Down the House, the Talking Heads song. And like, you know how that song starts with like there's like this drum fill with like really high toms, like he did it exactly, and I was like, what? And it was like he had these, because it's a giant drum set, and he had these like tiny little like clear toms over the, and it was like, and I was like, would you use those for anything but that song? And it's like so specific sometimes. But anyway, I guess what I like about that Commander Thinks Aloud recording the drum set with one microphone and it's recording a bunch of different takes and layering them on top of each other is that it's a totally different approach to recording music. It's like you're not recording music that sounds like anyone playing music in a room. You're playing music that sounds like a recording experiment. And I don't know, I can never tell if that stuff appeals to me in terms of recording because it appeals to me, or it appeals to me because I know it's more achievable for me. Like I don't have like an 8 drum mic interface, but I also like, I don't know. I don't know that I can. I don't think I can play at a level that necessitates that anyway.
Right.
So it's just it's like a very chicken or egg thing, where it's
totally. I do do things differently depending on the vibe, for sure. I know in this one I was trying to get that high fidelity sound going on, but I'm in another band, shout out to Your Westies, and in some of those tracks, like I've literally told my friend who, when we're recording in his room, I'm like, hey, let's mic up the drums how we normally do, but let's also put our iPhone like on that side of the living room, and then we'll just record the iPhone just how it sounds in the living room, and then we'll blend it into the whole thing. So then we're sitting there in the mix, and I'm always telling him like, hey, it sounds too good, make it sound shittier, use more of the iPhone, less of the like drum mics, I guess. Yeah, just because we're trying to achieve more of a I don't know, a lo-fi sound, I guess.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that idea. That's kind of, it makes me imagine it would be kind of fun to record a drum track with microphones at certain distances and then actually kind of move between them, you know?
Oh,
like it would,
man.
It would depend on the song and what you would need for it. But yeah, like, so.
I hear you.
I'd be interested if you could even really hear it. Like, sometimes, you know, it's...
I think you could. I was just watching a YouTube video like a month ago of some like 1 hour clinician talking about setting up drum microphones, and he did that experiment exactly where he had like 4 microphones, one at the drum head, one like 2 feet away, one 6 feet away, one 10 feet away, all pointing in the same angle, just distance, and then he was switching back between all of them so you can hear the difference. And it was a pretty big difference. He wasn't doing it for an artistic thing, but I think you could theoretically, you know, switch between it, different sections of the song or whatever.
So, all right, so a song you associate with a good memory. Our old pals Arcade Fire. The song
Let's
Wake Up.
go.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, this definitely happened at one of the concerts. We went to go see them, me and a huge group of friends. We were super lucky to be like right at the rail, dead center in a huge stadium. 10 feet away from the band for the entire set. Completely amazing. Hands down the best concert I've ever been to in my life. And they finished out their set list, walked off stage, everyone's screaming encore, encore, encore. They come back, and of course they play Wake Up. And, oh man. It's just after like the huge build-up, where he's screaming, "We're just a million little gods causing rainstorms." Yeah, that whole thing. And then I looked over to my friend and I'm like, "Hey Eddie, can you throw me up? We've done this before." And he knew exactly what I was talking about. He puts his hands out. I put my foot in his hands and he just throws me up into the crowd. And I land on everyone and I'm crowd surfing as everyone's chanting the oh, and I'm just falling back into this sea of people. And it was literally just the most euphoric music experience I think I've ever had. Crowd surfing, and just seeing Arcade Fire getting smaller and smaller as I'm going like past thousands of people. Just because we were in the front rail, and there was just a sea of people behind us. The only downside was that when the song transitions into the upbeat tempo, by that time I was like 200 feet from my friends when I finally did like fall off. But yeah, it was totally worth it.
All right, that was another episode of Make a Mixtape. Thank you to Aaron. That was Aaron, by the way, our guest on the show today. I didn't break in and like do any talky parts because, for one thing, the conversation like flowed pretty well, and for another thing, I've been sick for a week and a half. I know it's been a week and a half because last night I googled how long is too long to have a cold. It's 2 weeks, by the way, according to WebMD. So if this doesn't let up in a couple of days, I'm giving Dr. Palmer a ring. It's actually my doctor's name. It's not like a weird euphemism for something. Anyway, other than that, things are good. Hope you're doing good. Did you watch The Killer on Netflix? That movie was fucking sick, man. I'm a big fan of The Killer. Anyway, we're going to talk about that kind of stuff soon. Morgan and I, when we get our schedules together and our health together, we're going to record the 2023 Culture mixtape. And the 2013 mixtape. I forgot about that one. We got to do both of those. And we have like a month and a half left in the year. I gotta pay my mortgage. All right, have a good day.